Was Michael Jordan a successful person in life? Well, I actually don't know. So people say no. Discipline. Kobe, he had discipline. Hitler also had discipline. You're only ever judged on how far you have come based on where you started. The richest people in the world, they're not the happiest people with the best marriages. Don't hope to live a good life. You decide, what do I want to achieve? I'm not driven by fame. I'm not driven by money. I'm not driven by looks. I'm not driven by physical cravings. I'm driven by one thing. Shalom and welcome to another episode of Rabbi in the Hot Seat, where I'm really trying my best to help you guys develop the best life for yourselves. That you should be happy, healthy, holy, conscious, connected people. The purpose of doing this is to give you clarity in life, clarity in Judaism, and therefore be able to create the best life you can for yourself. Because many people say, I hope I live a good life, or I'd like to think I'd live a good life. But we say, no, don't hope to live a good life. You decide, what do I want to achieve? What does a good life look like? And then you commit to those things. Ask me your questions. Let's go.
Sarah asks, how do I define or measure success?
How do you define or measure success? In general, success means to achieve the purpose, the aim, the purpose, or a goal. So in any area of your life, if you have an aim, a purpose, or a goal, and you achieve that, you are successful.
So what's a successful life then?
Good. This is actually a very important question, because you can achieve all your purposes and your aims and have a very unsuccessful life if you have the wrong goal. So success in life, as in any area, is to the extent you achieve the purpose of life, you had a successful life. What is the purpose of life? Our sages teach us the purpose of life is to become a good person, impacting the world in a positive place, and connecting to God and bringing spirituality into your own life and into the world around you. So to the extent that you improved your character traits, powered up the world around you, and connected to God through following His divine word, you had a successful life.
Well then, what makes something meaningful?
Something is meaningful to the extent that it is tapping you into your purpose. So if it's taking you towards your goal, then it is a meaningful thing. Therefore, the actual definition of meaningful in this world is if it is helping you become a better person in terms of your character traits, and or it's changing the world for the better, and or it's connecting you to God in a conscious and healthy and joyful way, then it is meaningful. But if it's not meaningful. In fact, there are really three levels of this. There's something that's meaningful, which is directly making you a better person in the world, a better place, connecting you to God. There are things that are anti-meaningful. They're taking you away from being a good person and the world being a better place and you connecting to God. And then there's the middle ground, which is meaningless, not taking you towards, not taking you away, but depending on how you use those things and how much you use those things, they become meaningful. So for example, going to the gym, is that meaningful? Depends. If you're going to get very arrogant and you're going to abuse people with your muscles and you're going to show off, it's actually making you a worse person. If you're going to the gym in order to be strong and healthy so that you could change the world and help people, then it's meaningful. And if you're going to the gym just to let off some steam, then that's also meaningful, because you just need to let off some steam in a healthy way. Everything in life is either taking you closer to God, closer to your purpose, taking you away from your purpose, or it's neutral, so then it depends how and how much you use it.
What if you don't reach your goals? How do you deal with failure?
Well, one beautiful thing about this is these goals you can't fail in, because you get to choose how kind you are. And you get to choose how much you affect the world around you. And you get to choose how much you are consciously invested in meditation and prayer and learning Torah and mitzvahs and helping people in order to connect to God. So if you've got the wrong kind of Western secular definition of success as monies and look and fame and all this stuff, then that's not in your control, so you can kind of fail. And this is where people get their sense of self based on. People feel good about themselves if they are successful. But if you define success by looks and monies and cars and all stuff like that, then you can fail. But if you define success and really purpose by how good a person I am, how much am I helping other people, how close am I becoming to Hashem, you can never really fail. You're just on a journey going higher and higher. Many people actually, they ruin their lives by being afraid of failure. You know, I've got fear of failure. Why are people afraid of failure? Because they get the sense of self based on what other people think of them. So I don't want to try, because if I don't do well, people will look down on me and laugh at me. But someone who's a healthy human being says, you know what? trying itself is succeeding. So I'm not so scared of failing. I'm just going to put my effort in. And once again, with our definition of success being character traits, positive impact, and spirituality, you can't fail. You can just keep moving up and up in your journey. And you'll have falls sometimes, and it will be difficult sometimes, and you'll fail sometimes. But part of the journey is to get up from your failures. So your failures, they don't even define you. How you respond to your failures, that defines you, and that makes you actually a great person in the end.
Rabbi, can I show you this clip of Giannis? And then you tell me what you think about it?
Do you view this season as a failure?
Oh my God. Do you get a promotion every year on your job? No, right? So every year you work is a failure. Yes or no? No. Every year you work towards something, towards a goal, right? Which is to get a promotion, to be able to take care of your family, to be able, I don't know, provide a house for them or take care of your parents. You work towards a goal. It's not a failure. It's steps to success. Michael Jordan played 15 years, won 6 championships. The other 9 years was a failure? That's what you're telling me.
Giannis, I think he's a dude. I think he's a man, and he's making a very, very good point. If your goal in life is to become a great person and positively impact the world around you and come closer to Hashem, then nothing's actually a failure. Failure is all steps on your path to success. Where he's a little bit wrong, maybe in that sense, is if your goal is to win the Super Bowl and you don't, you did fail. So maybe you didn't fail as a sportsman overall, but that actually is a failure if your goal is to be that sports person, or if your goal is to win the gold medal in the Olympic Games and you don't achieve that goal, then there is something called actual failure. So was Michael Jordan a successful person in life? Well, I actually don't know, because for me, success is based on character traits. So I don't know. Was he a good husband and father? He might have been. I don't know. But no, we don't judge you based on how good you are at bouncing a big orange ball and throwing it into a net. He might have been the best basketball player who ever walked the face of the planet, although some people would say LeBron. I don't care, but we've answered that question before, don't we know? Whether you believe in God or not, let's just think about it like this. Michael Jordan goes up to heaven. And Hashem says, I got a few questions before I let you in. Michael, what did you achieve? And Michael says, what do you mean? I'm the greatest basketball player who ever walked the face of the planet. And Hashem would be like, no way, man, LeBron James. No, he wouldn't say that. He'd say, Mazel Tov, Jordan. But that's not what I created you for, you know? And actually, it's really thanks to me, because I gave you the skills you need and the opportunities you needed and the discipline you needed. So really, you know, you did achieve that, but that's not the purpose of life. And then Michael would be like, what do you mean? I've got a clothing range. I've got Nike Air Pump Jordan Pump Nike YOLO FOMO YOMO. And Hashem would say, Michael, that's so beautiful and wonderful, but that's not the purpose of life. The purpose of life isn't to have a clothing range. And he said, but I've got a house in every continent, and I got this, and a car, and this, and I'm famous, and I got 1 billion followers on Instagram. And Hashem says to him, dude, the purpose of life isn't to own property or have followers on Instagram. And then Michael says, well, I gave millions of dollars to set up a foundation in inner cities to give kids the skills they need to break out of the ghetto. And Hashem would be like, great, dude, come in. Why? Because the purpose of life is to be good and do good and connect to God. So the only meaningful thing that Michael Jordan did is, if he was a good husband and father, that's meaningful. If he worked on his character traits, that's meaningful. If he set up orphanages and helped inner city kids, that's meaningful. So success and meaning go hand in hand. So the fact that he was very, 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 very good at throwing a ball is not that impressive. You could say he could jump very high. That's really well done. Well done, very good. You're going to jump very high. So people say, no, discipline. Kobe, he had discipline. Hitler also had discipline. Discipline isn't in itself a good thing. It depends how you use it. If you're using your discipline to abuse people, that's a terrible, disgusting thing. So if you're using your discipline to be a good basketball player, that's better than Nazis. But there's a higher thing. Use your discipline to have self-control. Use your discipline to set up orphanages and help people. What are you using the talents that God gave you to do? So I don't know if Michael Jordan was a successful person or not. He was a successful basketball player and a successful businessman maybe, but successful person, I don't know. That's based on character traits.
Is it wrong to want fame?
Yes, in general, wanting fame is a terrible thing. In fact, the Torah speaks a lot about running away from kavod. Fame and honor is really called ego. Why do people want fame in general? Because they want to feel good about themselves, and maybe they want to feel better about themselves than other people. And if you get your sense of self based on that, not a very good thing. The only reason you might want fame is because you have an actual important message to spread to the world. So this was a big thing for me. I actually spoke to my Rosh Hashiva about this. I said, I don't want to have a big ego. I don't want all these followers. I don't want to care so much. But he said, but you got a very important message to get out to the world about God and living a great life and helping other people. So the more famous you are, the more people you can help. So I had this terrible dilemma because I'm running away from fame and honor. So in that way, I don't want it. But in order to achieve my mission, then I need fame. So then I'd never say, I want to be famous. I'd say, I want to help people. And if being famous helps me help more people, then I'll do that. But I'd rather not be famous. I'd rather not have to have the attention and the thing, because that's very bad for my ego. And then I get a big head, and I just don't want that in my life. I want to be spiritual. I want to be deeply humble. So he said to me, fine. So get over the ego thing. Get as famous as you can, but just work on being humble. Then you can do both things. Someone said to me the other day, I want to be a public speaker. And I said to him, why do you want to be a public speaker? And he said, because I want to empower people. So I said to him, so don't say I want to be a public speaker. Say, I want to help people. My driving force, my motivation is I want to help people. I happen to be good at public speaking, so I'm going to use public speaking to help people. But I want fame. I want to be a public speaker. You don't want that. That's egotistical. That's chasing honor. I want to help people. And if being famous will help me help people, then I'll deal with it. But I'd rather not have to. By the way, follow me on Instagram.
Social media makes everyone's life look incredible. How do you stop comparing yourself to them?
Judaism teaches you should actually never compare yourself to other people for a few reasons. But one, it doesn't help. It doesn't help. It's just making you jealous. It's making you anxious. It's making you chase things that maybe you don't really value, but you want to look good. It's making you put other people down. It's just very, very, very bad for your character traits to compare yourself to other people. Anyone who's got more than you or looks better than you is going to make you feel bad, or you look down on other people and then you become arrogant. So that's the first reason. Never compare yourself to other people. Second reason is you can't compare yourself to other people because you don't know what their situation is. When it comes to character traits and impacting the world and connecting to God, who knows who's higher than the other person? Imagine someone gets dropped at halfway up a mountain and someone gets dropped at the bottom of the mountain. And the guy halfway up the mountain takes 100 steps up the mountain. And the guy at the bottom of the mountain takes 300 steps up the mountain. Who's higher? Well, practically, physically, this guy is higher, but really, this guy's 3 times higher. And he gets 3 times more reward for that, because you're only ever judged on how far you have come based on where you started and the resources you had. So you can never compare yourself. I actually gave an example in one of my classes today. I keep Shabbat. I love keeping Shabbat. It's very easy for me to keep Shabbat. I've got a student who is just coming, he's very new to the religion and doesn't keep Shabbat, and he drives and he smokes and he does everything. But he said, I'm just not going to use one app on Shabbat because it's Shabbat. So I'm not going to use TikTok. I'm going to use Instagram, and I'm going to do WhatsApp. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to smoke. I'm going to do a break Shabbat in every way. Just I'm not going to use TikTok. If he does that, I don't know. Maybe that's giving Hashem more nachas than my Shabbat because it's more difficult for him. Maybe Hashem's really proud of that guy because he's like, I want to press my TikTok, and he just doesn't. And he does Instagram instead. Rabbi Dov Ber official Instagram. He does Instagram instead. I just don't know. Maybe that was so hard for him because everyone's got a different called Nakudat HaBechira. It's called your level of free will. So for me, not eating not kosher food is very easy. It's not a struggle at all. I see the best looking, nicest smelling not kosher food. Don't have to struggle with that. Not interested. Don't even like the smell. Someone else sees it and he's very difficult for him, and then he doesn't. That's very, very meaningful. So that's why we can't ever compare ourselves to anyone. Practically, it doesn't help you. It doesn't make you a better, kinder, nicer, healthier person. But secondly, you can never compare yourself to anyone. Just thirdly, quickly, remember our definition of success. If someone's got a nicer car than you and a better house than you and better looking than you, you don't need to be jealous of those things because that doesn't define you. That doesn't define your life. We have something in Judaism called kinat sofrim. which is actually, I'm jealous, although I don't like the word jealous, of holy people. Jealousy and envy really means I want what you have and I don't want you to have it. Kinat sofrim means I'm motivated. I'm inspired. I see a person who has better character traits than me and they're closer to God than me, and that encourages me and inspires me and motivates me to become a better person. But I don't ever look at someone else's car and say, I wish I had that car, or because I got my electric bike, I love my bike. I don't look at other people and say they're better looking than me, because actually they're not. I'm the most best looking person I know. If someone's better than me at tennis and they drive a better car than me and they're more good looking than me, I'm just not jealous of that because I don't value those things. If someone has better character traits than me, then I value that. So then I look up to that person and I try to grow.
Is hustle culture inspiring or toxic?
Is hustle culture inspiring or toxic? It depends what you're hustling for. People are hustling for looks and money and women and bling and cars, and I'm hustling, I'm hustling, I'm buzzing, baby. Judaism says, hustle for your neshama, dude. Hustle for your neshama. What do I need to do? How can I become a better person? Hustle for making the world a better place. Hustle, but not with intensity. Hustle seems to me I'm a bit intense. So I'm just motivated. I'm inspired. I'm spending all my time and effort and I'm thinking about it and I'm working on it. So yes, hustle, but just hustle for the right thing and in not with too much pressure and intensity. So growth in Judaism is always seen as an opportunity to live a greater life rather than a pressure in order to be able to compare and show off to other people and get recognition.
Is follow your dreams bad advice?
It depends what your dreams are. If your dreams are about someone else's wife, terrible, terrible advice. But if your dreams are, I want to make the world a better place and I want to bring godliness into the world and I want to impact other people's lives, then yes, you should follow the dreams. So it's really the same question. What's your definition of success? What are your dreams? What are your goals? What are your values? If you have the right definition of success, dreams, goals, and values, absolutely you should follow those things. I don't know if I'd use the word follow, by the way. I'd say create. I'd be like, make those things. I'm not following. Following feels a bit passive. I'm going to go and create those amazing things in my life. But if my dreams are, I want to be the best this or that in the world, because many, many people's dreams are built on this ego, wrong definition of success. I want to be rich and I want all these amazing things. Why? Because you think that money and cars and fame is going to give you happiness and good relationships and self-worth, but it doesn't. You know that the richest people in the world, they're not the happiest people with the best marriages, and the best looking people in the world, apart from me and my wife, they're not the happiest people with the best marriages. So it doesn't even work. You're hustling for the wrong things. And this is a whole problem with Western culture. The whole of Western culture is I'm chasing things in the external world that are not fully in my control and don't even guarantee happiness and self-worth and good relationships and meaning. Judaism says, chase the internal world, your character traits, your impact, your spirituality, which can be completely in your control and do guarantee everything you want in life, which is happiness, self-worth, good relationships, meaning, and health.
Rabbi, you haven't told us a rabbi story in a long time. Do you have a story that ties into this whole concept of success?
Okay, that's actually quite an easy one because Rabbi Zusya, who we've spoken about before, said two amazing things. Rabbi Zusya says, I'm not worried that when I go to heaven, God is going to say to me, why weren't you like Abraham? And why weren't you like Moses? I'm worried that he's going to say, why weren't you like Zusya? Why weren't you the best you that you could have been? So I'm not comparing myself to other people. I just want to become the best person that I can become. The second story is a bit similar. Someone said to him, would you like to switch places with Abraham? You could be Abraham Avinu. And Rav Zusya said to him, how would that help Hashem? Hashem would still just have one Abraham and one Zusya. So I'm not chasing the fame and the honor and the ego of being Abraham. So I'm doing it for Hashem. I'm here to serve Hashem. So my success in life is how much I make Hashem happy, how much I bring Hashem into the world. So it's not about me. It's not about my ego. It's about deep humility and actually taking myself out of the center of the circle and putting Hashem in the middle of the circle and bringing Hashem into the world. This is actually why Moshe Rabbeinu was the most humble person ever, even though he was the greatest person ever. Because he looked at other people and he said, maybe if I had their upbringing and their challenges, I wouldn't be doing as well as them. And maybe if they had my upbringing and my talents and everything that I had, they'd be doing much better than me. So I can't compare to anyone else. And the second thing is, the higher you go spiritually, the more you realize how much there is to go. So I used to walk a lot in the Himalayas, and I used to be a strong walker, and I climbed up the mountains, and I got to the top of the mountain, and other people in the group, they were walking from where they were standing. I looked like the best. I was great. And they're like, wow, he's so high and we're going to get there. But me from the top of the mountain could see the rest of the Himalayas spreading out before me, and I felt so small. I was like, oh my goodness, we haven't got anywhere. So that explains why actually the greater you are and the more spiritually connected you are, the more humble you're going to be, because Hashem is infinite and we're just finite. So real true success is Hashem's success. Did I bring Hashem into the world? Did I bring Hashem into other people's lives? Did I bring Hashem into my life? That's true real success, because our whole purpose in life is to become God conscious and bring God consciousness into the world around me. So that's what I'm driven by. I'm not driven by fame. I'm not driven by money. I'm not driven by looks. I'm not driven by physical cravings. I'm driven by one thing. I'm driven to success. I'm driven to my purpose. I'm driven to meaning. And that is just these three things. Personal growth, that means character traits, positive impact, make the world a better place, and become spiritually connected to Hashem through his divine guidebook, the Torah. Thank you very much. I love you guys. I really want you to live an amazing, successful life. Like, subscribe, notifications, share with your friends. Obviously follow me, because the more famous I become, the smaller my ego will become, and I can help more and more people. Thank you. Out.